Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. Once again, the portal is alight, and we are going to be pulling some shards. It is 2 times sacreds, on top of there being a 10x, which is important, as we'll get into a bit later. But of course, we're never pulling for no reason. We're always pulling with a purpose, as I like to say it. Alliteration is fun. Champ Chase tournament is going on. We were trying to get some Titan event points for the Lunar Festival Titan event, and we can see that they have a total of 300 Lunar Points up for grabs here. 200 of which are at the 4,200 mark, which is relatively high, particularly for 2 times sacreds, but it doesn't matter to me. We have enough shards to get there, and then 1150 for the lower node. But for me, I did plan to get all of these points, so I expect to get all the way out to 4,200. You can see that we did a little bit of prep work. We have 1,000 points already, and that is from summoning 2 Fragment Summon Champions, Jetney the Giant and Rorik Wormbane specifically, who should be used in the Cursed City at some point. Probably not in this current rotation 2, at least at the time of this recording, but potentially for rotation 1 when it comes back around and any future rotations. So the main thing to note here is that absolute worst case, we're targeting, let's round up, let's call it 4,250, because there's 250 points per epic and 500 per legendary, and that's all you can get from sacred shards. So worst case, if we get all epics, which would be really unfortunate, then we will have to pull 13 sacreds, but it's 2 times sacreds, right? There's a 16% chance, a 1 in 8 chance, so odds are good that we're getting walk away with at least 1 legendary, maybe more, we'll see. Popping over to the portal, let's take a look at the current shard count on the account. So we have 542 on the Ancients, 271 on the Voids, 28 on the Primals, and 60 on the Sacreds, which we will be dipping into today. And as far as Mercy is concerned, we can pop that up on the screen here. This is my Mercy tracker. We're focusing on this row right here, the Sacred row, and you can see that we are 1 away from entering Mercy, which does not mean that we are guaranteed a legendary, but we are guaranteed to go into Mercy, which means we have an even higher chance above the 2x to get a legendary. So the odds are good that we walk away with at least 1, maybe more legendaries in this session. The other thing to mention that I was a little bit back and forth on was whether or not to participate in the 10x for Elatran Blademaster. As I have explained multiple times on the channel, that the 10x's are not really high rates. It's somewhere around 5-6% chance that if you get a legendary, it is the one featured in the 10x. So the odds aren't great, but I was just reading his kit, and he could potentially be useful for MAS in future rotations where Night Rev is one of the restricted factions. And so with that in mind, I wouldn't mind getting him, but he's not really my highest priority in terms of champion. So I'm willing to give it a shot on today. Today's being Saturday. Usually I pull for these on Sunday when there's no 10x, unless it's someone I actually do want. Which is not that often, funny enough, but I digress. He is exclusive to the Monster Hunter collaboration, meaning that in a month's time or so, he won't really be able to be gotten from the pool. So if I don't get him now, that's probably going to be it, and it's not really that big of a deal. I didn't really plan to get him anyways, but it'd be nice to have him in the case that I do get lucky. Aside from that, I'm not even going to mention the legendaries that we're looking for this time. We're going to try something different. We're just going to dive right in and just see if we get lucky with one of my top 5. But since we are obviously going to be getting a lot of epics along the way as well, Lady Mikage epics are all we're looking for. So ones that I do not have currently. All right, so let's get into the pulls. We have just the right amount of space. We've got some cash, and hopefully we get some pretty decent luck. Here we go. Shard number 1, or sacred number 1. What are we starting off with? An epic right out of the gate, and it is Broodlord. Honestly, he does have a pretty cool passive that can kind of do some work. In Iron Twins, he can just place decreased speed, or has a chance to place decreased speed when this champion is attacked, or when allies are under ally protection. So essentially just him being hit. He's also quite good for faction wars because he does have the potential to place a provoke on the A1 if they're under decreased speed from his passive. He also has a chance to stun on an AoE, and then he provides some ally protection a little bit on the A2. Moving right along, sacred number 2. What are we going to get from this one? Let us see. And it's a legendary, and it's War Mother. Okay, Mercy has been reset. She technically has one of like the hardest hitting bombs in the game, and she is kind of nice that she can activate them, or at least activate any bombs, detonate all bombs on the A3 here, but she kind of requires 2 turns, and she doesn't get an extra turn on this one, kind of like a Nishag Vermlord, for example. So she's not as good. And she's bad affinity for like Pythion, stuff like that, but she's good affinity for Duchess. But I don't really see her in the meta in terms of bombers. I see a lot of Gaius the Gleeful, some Lord Shazar, as well as Nishag Vermlord. I happen to have all 3 of those, by the way. So now I have 4 bombers on my account. So maybe we'll do some bombing shenanigans with her in the future, or maybe she'll come in handy for the Cursed City. Who knows? Well, I guess it's all downhill from here, because that was our air quotes guaranteed legendary, at least where we were in Mercy for that 1 shard, and now we're back at 2-0. So let's just see what we can get here. Should be getting a lot lot of epics. Excruciator, excruciatingly terrible champion. She can place a veil or something. Yeah, just not great. Not great. Not much to say about her. Number 4, sacred number 4. Here's going to be one of the poison explosion activation type champs, or just the poison layers for poison activation champs. Taurus here on the toxic Nova here. He can place 4 AoE poisons. He drops himself to 1 HP or 1% HP, but he puts unkillable on himself when he's ascended. So he's not going to die. You reset him with some sort of reset champ, and you can do that again for wave 1 and wave 2, and you can set up poisons kind of like a Calvalax for poison explosion. 2250 in the champion chase, so we still have at most, I think, 8 or so sacreds to go. So number 5 here. The next one is going to be another epic, one of my favorite epic damage dealers for clan boss, Anax here, who just puts out a lot of damage between all of his abilities. He has really great multipliers and a really high base attack. He brings the weaken, he brings decreased defense on the A1, then he brings a ton of poisons because it's a 3-turn duration on a 3-turn cooldown, so it's basically perma poisons, but also decreased accuracy. He's also pretty good in Bommel. He was on my first Bommel team to provide us decreased accuracy for the team, so that was very, very effective. Another epic here, Lady Quillen. Is she Lady Mikage epic? I think she is, but I think I already have her ready to go for that, so that is a bit of a bummer. I think she does. I was considering her for like Faction Wars DPS, but I ultimately for Bannerlords, but I ultimately ended up going with Sir Artemage, who I retired for Rhonda, believe it or not. Oh, legendary number 2, and it's a duplicate Sun Wukong. Okay. I forgot, honestly, that his timer had ended and he is now actually in the pool to be obtained. I don't really know how to feel about this, but nonetheless, okay, duplicate Monkey King. So there we go. Sun Wukong, obviously very, very powerful with the very annoying passive that revives him after 3 turns, and that is combined between the allies and enemies. So any 3 turns, or the next 3 turns taken by any champion, he'll come back to life, provided he's not block revived, of course. AoE buff Steel on this places block buffs. Massive damage here that ignores half of their defense, but it can also turn them into a sheep if it does not kill them, and then a really high chance to stun on the A1. Super, super powerful, super, super meta champion. I probably won't build a second one because I do have one already built as a new Kong. Yeah, so second legendary of the day. Okay, we're at 3250 in the champion chase, so worst case we have to pull 4 more sacreds, and we've been honestly pretty good odds so far. 2 legendary is definitely around where we should expect to be, maybe a little bit better than where we'd expect to be. Here, oh, this is an old fusion champion. I honestly don't know what he does, but Bovos, Sharphorn, maybe he was the last fusion. Decreased speed on the A1, AoE attack with decreased crit rate and crit damage. Not the best 3-turn cooldown though. Removes 1 random debuff from all allies and places increase. Yeah, not that good. Honestly, I think like Visionary does this kind of job a little bit better with a turn meter fill. So this is not really enticing me as far as an epic to be used. Next sacred, here we go. That's 1 out of the maximum of 4. Cornelia, one of my favorite champions for arena with the AoE sleep on a 3-turn cooldown. That's just AoE sleep. There's no touching or no contact, meaning it's affinity friendly. And also this ally sleep, shall we call it, is really nice because it could be a massive heal or a clutch heal if you place it at the right time. It's really wonky on auto, but when you're manualing it, it's pretty strong. And then a chance to increase the cooldown of a random skill by 2 turns. At random on the A1, pretty strong speed in all battles on the aura. Continuing on with the potentially last sacred or second to last sacred, depending on luck. Looks like the second to last sacred here. Bone Keeper. I've heard she hits relatively hard, and I think she's all single target, but I've not built her, and I've not really feel compelled to max champions who only do single hitters, so not much there. Last sacred, guaranteed. We should be able to get there. 4250 on this one, and we end on an epic with Lady Annabelle, who I do think I have her. I think she has some applications in Bommel, like solo, because she is the right affinity for Bommel being force, and then because of the passive variable, she'll heal when the bombs die, essentially more than they'll do in damage, so she can sustain herself. I think she also has revive on death, but maybe that doesn't work. I forget exactly how. You can check other content creators for how exactly she works versus Bommel, but I do know that she can solo it in a regen set. So I'm fairly certain that we reached our milestone. We ended up pulling, looks like 11 sacreds, because we started off with 60, and oh gosh, pop-ups, and we got 2 legendaries, which means we effectively got 2 extra sacreds worth of points, so that should add up to the effective 13 maximum that we were talking about. So if we hop over to the champion chase, we should have the points. Boom, there we go. So we should be exactly at a little bit past 4258, right? Because we were at 1008 before. So collect all of these. Legendary Tome is a nice bonus. I thought about going all the way out to 5500, and I probably would if it was like 2x Ancients or something, but 2x Sacreds, I don't want to gamble that hard towards getting champions. So let's also check in while we're here on the Titan event itself, because that is a massive chunk of points. So you can see I was on milestone, or approaching milestone 4. That is now complete, and we are officially on the last page collecting all of these. So there's a couple more events for me to do. I think I'm still on track to get all the way out to 1500 as it stands right now. I skipped 140 of the 250 in the monster path. Just didn't feel like spending a bunch more gems to get that done. And then I skipped the 60, I think, in the Dungeon Diaries that just ended like yesterday or something, at least at the time of this recording. So I think I have to do everything from here on out if I really want to get out to 1500. But as I mentioned in my free-to-play review for the Titan event, all I really care about is getting to 1350. But if I happen to get all the way out into the 5-star, then so be it. That'd be great. Chaos Aura would be nice to have as well. So yeah, I guess we walk away with 2 new legendaries on the account. Well, I guess one's a dupe, one is actually new. So War Mother is definitely new on the account. Did not have her before. Apparently there's a demon spawn I didn't have. Who was that? Oh, Excruciator. Look at that. Never had her. That's probably why I didn't know what she does, because I haven't pulled her yet. So there you go. That's a showcasing that I actually do not have all the epics in the game, even though I've been playing for over 3 years. So even I don't have most of them. There's a bunch. So if we actually take a look here, Faction Guardians, that should be 4 out of 4 for the Skinwalkers here. So we'll take that extra attack for my primary Wukong. Sweet. That is fantastic. We love to see that. So yeah, I'm actually kind of curious, what would you guys do? Would you build a second Sun Wukong on your account? As I mentioned, I do have my primary one here, which is a Nukong. We can take a quick look at his stats here. So 5.6k on the attack, 244 on the speed, full crit rate, 234 crit damage, so decent amount, and 322, a little bit of accuracy. So he's not going to do he's not going to polymorph or a sheep, anyone who has a bunch of resistance, but a squishy nuker you can definitely handle. So would you build a second one? Because I do have the option to make like the high accuracy UDK counter Wukong as well on top of this one, and maybe that might be something to do in the future, but at least for now I'm happy with the Nukong as my solo one. That is going to do it for today's video, and I'm going to leave this lovely specimen on the screen for you guys. And as usual, if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.